What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out this segment of the main show. Be sure to check out the full EXFIL podcast at youtube.com/XPMediaNow.
What do you think this game needs to be or do to remain successful in the long term? If we're saying that it's mostly finished right now, what's the critical pieces?
It's right now, the way that the game is now, it's one of the most awesome, greatest FPSs I've ever played for about 2.5, 3 months, and then there's no reason to play the game. It has no end game. So if it were up to me, if I could take over Battlestate Games tomorrow, my focus would be growing the RPG elements. So the leveling system, the skill system, making those more robust so that you're investing in your character in the way that Skyrim, I played thousands and thousands of hours of Skyrim, and I could go and get on there today and start a new playthrough, and it would be a different game than any of the 100 games I've played before, just because even though it's the same quests, just the fact that you can build a different character and go in a different order is huge. You have to give me a reason and the mechanism to role play in a way to make me invested in the world and in the character, because right now there's nothing. I don't know whether it's the lore or whatever, but right now the skill system's pretty much useless. The leveling system and the traders are just there to lock gear. There's no sense of accomplishment, I guess, in any of the things that you unlock, and when you unlock them, you realize that you're really only getting a tiny percentage of an advantage. So it's like, unlike every other game where in Skyrim you spend an hour playing the game, you're going to upgrade your armor. It's twice as good as it was before, which is actually really significant. In Tarkov, twice as good as nothing, as we mentioned before. So to me, there just needs to be some reason for somebody to play once they have unlocked everything, whether or not there needs to be like super rare things. Like, I don't know if you guys ever played like Diablo, but like Diablo 2 is one of the greatest games that I've played. I can't believe I forgot mentioning that earlier.
Yes!
D2 is yeah, definitely top 3 games of all time. But just the idea of like, I could go and make a Hammerden right now and just start doing runs, and just the idea of that one tiny percentage drop of getting, a high rune, or, that perfect, in 50% enhanced durability Dusk Shroud, so I could make an Enigma out of it, or whatever, right? Like rolling the dice when you're socketing something with a rune word, like something like that in Tarkov, to make it so that there's a reason for me to go and kill Reshala again. If it's a 50-50 chance I get the thing, once I go twice, there's no reason for me to go back. So something like that makes it so that there's a reason for me to go into a raid, because today, all it is you make the number next to your ruble sign go up. That's not compelling enough for the long run. And all of the new players that all get mad about the wipes that happen when they just join the game, and you guys get to play all day long. All it would take is for you to get to like level 30 or 40 once, to unlock all the things, to then play for another week and realize there's no reason to continue to play anymore until the next wipe. Then you'd know how the game has no end game there.
Well, and you brought up exactly what my feeling was, right? And we are first wipers, or whatever you want to call us, right? Not new to MMOs or RPGs or action RPGs like Diablo, etc. And the way that I'm looking at Tarkov in its current state, and it's funny that you brought up the RPG elements, because we've actually had that conversation offline about Endgame. But what I was going to attribute it to is, I think Tarkov, the way it stands right now, and I don't think this is bad, but right now I feel like Tarkov is in a first wipe, second wipe, fourth, sixth, eighth. And what I mean by that is, it's actually the Diablo 3 experience, is that you play it the first time, you dig in, it's crazy, maybe you get to, level 53 like I am now, and maybe you don't. But then you go into the second wipe with all this extra knowledge, all of the things that you learned and got wrecked over, and now you can do, and you
Now
play
you're a
that
veteran.
second wipe, now you're veteran, and it's like, okay, now you get it. And my gut was that in the second wipe, I'm going to grind hard. I'm going to enjoy it, like, probably as much as learning the game initially. And then my feeling was I was going to get to the end of that and be like, oh, you know? And the reason I don't look at that as negative right now is you brought up some titles, right? You brought up Valorant, you brought up Mordau. For me, it's still PUBG. I still like to play PUBG. I'm digging Valorant as well. And seasonal type games have a very real place. Diablo 3 found a way to be relevant for a very long time after one of the most chaotic, horrible launches that Blizzard ever did. And they actually turned it into a game that produced money and DLC and is still relevant today on an every other wipe or every third wipe schedule, right? Because I'll still jump back in Diablo when they launch some cool new set and I haven't played a while, and I'll play it for a couple weeks and then I'm done. I don't think that's bad as long as that's the end goal, the vision, and what they decide to do. And that's why I think it's so fascinating to hear what a veteran thinks and then us new guys, and that it's a lot closer than I actually thought it was going to be, what you thought was critical and then what I thought too. And ultimately, it's that vision.
Yeah, so I was gonna say real quick. Did you guys ever play Pokemon on Game Boy?
Yep.
So imagine playing Pokemon, and how long did you play the game after you beat the Elite Four? It's the end of the game, right? I don't know about you, but like, I've replayed it a million times, but I was never interested in catching all the things. I didn't care, right? To me, it was beat the gym leaders and beat the Elite Four. But what Tarkov Endgame is, you've beat the Elite Four. Now go play Pokemon. It's like, well, all of my Pokemon, I've got no one to fight except for random level 7 Pidgeys in the grass, and there's nothing to do. I can go and fight, but why?
Yeah.
So when the wipe hits, it allows you to play Pokemon over again and choose your starter, and it's exciting again. But then you beat the Elite Four, and you're done with the game. So that's how the end of your second or third wipe is going to feel. A couple of weeks in when you've beat the Elite Four, and now you can't start the game over again for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And half the community is telling you that you're not allowed to restart, and please don't restart. Yeah.
Well, but you're exactly right though, because even back to Pokemon, right? Red, by the way. The first time you go through, you beat the Elite Four or the Final Four, right? And then you do go try to catch everything, and then maybe you get close, and you're like, oh, maybe I want the Bulbasaur, and then you go back over, and then you never do that again. So it's just fascinating that, for one, that it's stayed relevant for so long, and it was. I mean, again, I think Tarkov, I don't know if you'd call it a niche game for a long time that got some explosive rocket fuel, but it's pretty incredible that it can still keep people playing. It's able to attract brand new players right now, and presumably for quite a while. But the vision doesn't match what the game is right now. This open world MMO with a hub that is, it just keeps going versus this wipe schedule. And it's just interesting to me that the wipe schedule actually is, I'm sure there's some vocal parts that don't like the idea of losing their character progression, but I'm at the point where I'm ready for it. So it's super interesting.
But what I'm wondering is if it's missing something, because one of the things about character progression that you have when you get a wipe, think about like creating an alt in a game, right? Like an MMO. Your main character unlocks an ability to specifically either help your alt or allow you to play your alt in a different way that doesn't penalize its progression, right? And Tarkov, they wipe everything as far as I know. I mean, it's just like you're logging in day one again. So you can do that a couple of times, but I'm wondering if that is going to just not hold attention of players long term, because you can only play the exact same thing even with minor tweaks and changes so many times. So I'm kind of wondering if they implement something to keep some kind of a a piece, of your progression.
Here's the thing. If you take any two characters, just randomly select two characters in Diablo 3 or in World of Warcraft or in Skyrim, how different are they going to be? Hugely different. You take any two PMCs in Escape from Tarkov, and the only meaningful difference is how many rubles they have in their stash. If you're level 39 strength versus level 7 strength, I can tell you I can't really tell the difference. Everything levels up so slowly, and you get really such minute, non-meaningful differences because they don't want to make it, you don't want to come up against like Goliath like you would in Diablo 2, a level 2 character versus a level 85 character. It's like I could just stand in front of you and I'm invincible, whereas a level 70 character and a level 1 character in Escape from Tarkov, you swap their gear around and they're, interchangeable. The same health pools, the same skills. One can run slightly faster than the other, can run slightly longer than the other before they get tired, but that's what the game needs. There's no difference between Bears and USEC. There's no difference. And these are all systems that like they've been talking about for years, but I don't know. I just don't see them on the roadmap when Nikita talks about, 12.7, 12.8, 12.9, 13. Like, I don't know that we're going to get to 13 or 14 or whatever, which is when a lot of these systems like traders out in the open world and an open world and all these things that I just don't see them happening. And I mean, that's what the game needs if this is going to be something that they can finish, release, and add DLC content or whatever and have it be something that's going to last for years. As it is now, to me, it's like a 3 or 4 month thing. If they were to release what they have now, it would be big for 6 months and then it would just fizzle out. And then everybody, because then all the casual players who only get to play once a week, they will finally experience the lack of Endgame. It'll just be 6, 7, 8 months from now.
Right.
And then then Riot or whoever is going to come out with a looter shooter that's going to be polished, that's going to have all of the balancing mechanics and be simple and be, whatever, and smooth, and that'll be, that would be the proverbial death of the game, like a game like Tarkov, if somebody else came out with something that was more accessible.